Today our topic is proton nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy. So before starting, I have to go through some discovery of this particular NMR spectroscopy. First of all, 1946, Felix Bloch of Stanford University and Edward Purcell in Howard University in 1946, they discovered this NMR spectroscopy and they got Nobel Prize for that in 1952. Now, what is the NMR spectroscopy? Before starting, one thing I want to tell you, I start with the proton nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy. Now forget about the proton. You just concentrate nuclear magnetic resonance. First of nuclear. Nuclear, it is related with the nucleus of any atom, right? And M for magnetic field, right? So whenever we are dealing with NMR, there is two things are there. One is nucleus of any atom and the external magnetic field. Now if you go through any spectroscopy technique, there is mainly two things is common, very common. One is matter, second is electromagnetic radiation. But in NMR case, there is one third parties are there. One is electromagnetic radiation is the common thing is there. Matter is always present, whatever you want to find out. And third is external magnetic field. Here, why the nucleus? What is the utility of nucleus in NMR? If we look at the NMR in broad sense, and if we categorize the NMR in different types, there is proton NMR is there, C13 NMR is there, F19 NMR is there, and Fourier transform NMR spectroscopy is there. Now look at that H1, that is proton NMR. Why we are not considering deuterium or tritium? Why we are not considering those isotopes? This is first question. And second question, why we are considering only C13? Why we are not considering C14 or C12? Now, if you look at that particular, why we are considering that particular proton, why we are considering C13, we will come to the later in that case. Before that, actually, what is the utility of NMR spectroscopy? You have to know. Any spectroscopy you go through, the main agenda is that you try to find out the structure of any unknown compound. But proton NMR has the same thing. Here we try to identify how many different protons are present in the unknown sample and what is their different environment, right? A unknown sample is given to you and we have to find it out how many number of proton is present there. That is the main calculative things of NMR, and that will tells us the whole structure of any organic sample. Now, what is if you look at the utility of NMR, NMR can be utilized to find out the structure of protein. Most of the biologists are use NMR for that purpose, and any chemist, they use NMR to find out the structure of any chemical. And one of the novel cause of NMR is MRI. That is in particular disease analysis in our head. MRI is one of the novel application of NMR. Now, what actually going through in proton NMR spectroscopy, sometimes it is called H1 NMR, it's sometimes PMR also called, because H is a signify as a proton, right? That is PMR is related to one another, right? Now, if we look at this particular thing, so what is the proton NMR? Now, if you look at the proton means there is a presence of one particular nuclear proton is present there. That in hydrogen atom, there in nucleus, there is only one proton is present there. This proton is a positively charged particle, and it is rotating in different direction, maybe in the clockwise direction, maybe in the anti-clockwise direction. Depending on the direction, they have the different nuclear magnetic spin, right? So in that situation, when that these types of particular proton, they rotating and having the charge, they act as a bar magnet. So whenever they act as a bar magnet, and so these types of bar magnet, when you are placing in the particular region of a huge external magnetic field as well as electromagnetic radiation, so with this particular two effect, electromagnetic radiation and magnetic field, this bar magnet orient itself and goes from the lower energy state to higher energy state. And whenever it goes to the lower energy state to higher energy state, it absorbs energy. And if we able to calculate or this amount of energy, we can easily find out the NMR or energy associated with this particular transition, right? Now, if we go to the origin of NMR, as I already told you, why I am considering only proton 1 or C13. Here not we are considering C13, but this is with the discussion I am doing. I am discussing this particular matter. Why we are considering those types of nucleus? Because if you look at the C12, oxygen 16, sulfur 32, there the total nuclear magnetic spin is equal to 0. What happened actually? In nucleus, there is a presence of neutron and protons are there. So, if the even number of neutron, even number of protons are there, they forming the couple. They coupling to each other. So, their resultant nuclear spin is 0. So, that types of atom does not show NMR spectroscopy. That is why we are not considering C12. We are not considering C14. We are not considering hydrogen 2 or 4. We are not considering. We are considering only hydrogen 1, proton NMR, because they show integral or half integral nuclear spin. They having the odd number of neutron or proton present within its nucleus. That is why we the selection of that particular atom for NMR spectroscopy. So you come to understand this point. So we go to the next slide. Now, if anyone providing you a sample and they wants what types of composition it is, what is the structure of this unknown sample. So what you have to do first the solution of that particular organic unknown sample. Now, for preparation of solution, you can take help of this particular solvent, carbon disulfide. You can take the hexachloroacetone. You can take the help of carbon tetrachloride, and DMSO is there, deuterium oxide is there, benzene is there. Any particular organic solvent, it is dissolved, you can take it. Now, this sample you pour into at a holder and or a probe, and you place it in between the north-south pole. If you look at the instrument, there is a high strength magnetic field up there, which is naming as north pole and south pole. In between that, now another thing, you are using a transmitter. That transmitter is providing the electromagnetic radiation. Here I want to discuss one thing on particular portion again. Electromagnetic radiation is a huge broad area. Now for only NMR, we using radio frequency. Radio frequency in general form, I can tell you, it is nothing but what we are normally told, that 98.3 Red FM or 98.3 Radio Mirchi, that the frequency, that's a very lower energy. This frequency, that is in the frequency range of radio frequency. Now this is the transmitter, is the main utility is it is providing the electromagnetic radiation to the sample. Now there is a magnetic field is there, and there is electromagnetic radiation you are giving. That within this two particular magnetic field and electromagnetic radiation, the sample proton, they orient and they absorb certain particular frequency, and they goes to from a lower energy state to the higher energy state. And that from lower to higher energy state, when it is go and it absorb a particular energy and it emits, and that will detected by a detector. that the detector is a place over there, and sometimes it is amplify the frequency, that is possible for detect very sharply. And last one, the CRT display, that is nothing but it a computer you using, there is a graph it's forming. That is the total NMR instrument whatever is there. If we go to the next slide, now if you look at some particular terms which is related with the NMR spectroscopy, so or any NMR is maybe proton, is maybe C13, any NMR. The one is nuclear resonance. Nuclear resonance means, we all know resonance means any particular compound stay in the different structure. They can have different structure, they can have different energy, but when a compound in a different energy state, and when you are excited, that some of having higher energy, some of having lower energy. So to go to the higher energy state, particular those molecule having the higher energy, they need highest energy with respect to that particular molecule having in the particular range of higher energy. So what happened, as they are in a different energy state, they are absorbing different amount of energy to reach the highest energy level. When they reach in the highest energy level, they are in, that is called in NMR spectroscopy language, this is nothing, they are in a resonance position, they are in a same position. Now what is the saturation? Saturation means whenever you are providing electromagnetic radiation to a particular sample having so many different types of proton, so some of is first of all, some of it absorbing the radiation from lower energy state, it goes to the higher energy state. Now when the continuous this process is going on, what happened, all the particular energy, all the particular proton goes to the higher energy state. So what one time a particular situation will occur, there is no particular nucleus is present in the lower energy state. What happened, that is the saturation is there. So whenever saturation is there, so there is no extra transition is there. But what we have to do to avoid this saturation, to avoid the these types of phenomena, we have to have carried out the continuous spectrum or continuous energy transition. So for that is a relaxation is the process by which we are actually lowering the lifetime of the excited energy state nucleus. If we are lowering the lifetime of the excited state nucleus, what happens? It is in a very small time, in a very low time it will come to the lower energy state. So that happened, that when it is come to very quickly in the lower energy state, so the continuous transition is took place, and then we get the better frequency, better result in NMR spectra. So that is two processes there. One is spin relaxation is there, another is spin lattice relaxation is there. Spin relaxation is like that say higher energy state in the particular region of 4th floor, some proton is in the ground floor, some proton is in the 1st floor, some proton is the 3rd floor. Now you are exciting. So what happened, first of all, lower energy state energy, absorb energy, it goes to the 1st energy state, and when it matches with the 1st floor proton, so it will transfer its energy to 1st floor proton, and it comes back to the ground state. Then 1st floor proton, it carries this energy to the 3rd floor proton, and 3rd floor proton carries its energy to 4th floor. So what happened, normal case, when one proton in the nuclear particular lower energy state and in the ground state, they have to travel 4th floor. Now in that case, they don't have to go to the 4th floor, they go to the 1st floor and they come down the ground floor. So that will be the continuous NMR spectrum does not hamper. This is one procedure. Another, this is called transverse relaxation. Another is longitudinal relaxation, which is nothing but, say it is lattice is there. You sample you are taking, there is some solid sample, that the lattice is there. Lattice means atom are fixed in the particular point. Now they are not moving. So in that case, what will happen? So particular lattice atom, thus they transfer its energy to the next atom of the next lattice. So they are not moving to one another, but they are transferring. So this is another way we can relaxation period will be increased, so that continuous NMR spectrum is very possible for us. So this is the two process. And the chemical shift, before the chemical shift, I want to tell you two things. So one thing is that, say I am providing a sample to you. Here I am giving an example, ethyl bromide. Look at that particular compound. Here is the CH3, CH2, Br. If you look at the two kinds of proton is there. One is near the bromine, another is apart, far from the bromine atom. So those are far from the bromine atom. That particular CH3, three proton are there. And in the near the bromine atom, there is two proton are there. So they are in different environment, because some are closer to the bromine, some are far apart from the bromine. So whenever these types of compound you are doing the NMR spectroscopy, that is, you look that there is, this is the spectra. The spectra is, one is 3 and another is 4. Now chemical shift is that normally there is two, what I say, normally there is two kinds of protons there. So we should see two kinds of peak, but look at that, one kinds of peak having the 3 and one kinds of having the 4 different peak. Now TMS is the tetramethylsilane, which is the reference, which is the solvent we use for the NMR measurement. That not consideration. The main here peak is, one is 3 peak and is 4 peak. Here is nothing but, if you look at that, there is two kinds of proton are there. They are having the different environment, and when they are different environment, they are absorbing the different condition. Bromine, as bromine having the highest electronegativity, it drags the electron cloud from the CH2 group. And what happened? All the electron cloud on the CH2 proton, it is goes to the bromine. But in case of methyl group, as it is far from the bromine, all the electron cloud not coming to the to the bromine. So in CH3, proton having higher electron cloud, and in CH2 having the lower electron count. So these the two situation. Due to this two situation, two environment is creating, and there is, we are two kinds of peak we are getting. For first, in around 8 to 9, it is for CH2 group. Okay, it is for CH3 group, and for second 4, it is for CH2 group. Now why CH2 having 2 proton, why it is giving 4 particular peak, and CH3 having only 3 proton, but it is giving only 3? Why this kinds of differences is there? If you look at the next slide, it will be much more clear to you. What happened actually when the spin coupling is going on, that is due to the chemical shape. What happened? The spin of the proton of CH2 which couple with the CH3, that means CH2 proton experiencing the coupling with the CH3, that means it is affected by the neighboring CH3. How many proton is there? 4 proton is there. So in that case, when it is coupling, so as it is 3 CH3, so in that case CH3 is giving different types of arrangement here. One is reinforcing, one is not reinforcing, one is opposing. That 3 different types of orientation is there. But when the spin of the 3 proton coupled with CH2, the orientation is 4 types. Here is, I am drawing the 4 kinds of orientation. So due to these 4 kinds of orientation, we are getting different types of spectra in NMR. That is the main spectroscopical technique of NMR. That is all. Thank you for today.